Good evening, everyone. I welcome all of you to the 26th lecture of the ASC webinar series. The speaker that we have for today's lecture is Professor G.S Abhayan. I thank Professor Abhayan for taking the time to enlighten us on the intriguing subject of Iron Age culture in Kerala, Iron Age in Kerala, an overview and recent research. Before he begins, I would like to give a brief introduction about Professor Abhayan. He is an assistant professor in Department of Archaeology, University of Kerala, Trivandrum, from where he has also received his bachelor's in zoology, master's in archaeology, and he also holds a PG diploma in archaeology from the Institute of Archaeology, Archaeological Survey of India. And in 2016, he received his PhD degree from Deccan College, Pune. And prior to this, he has worked as a livestock in the Animal Husbandry Department and the Government of Kerala, and also worked as an assistant archaeologist in the Archaeological Survey of India. He has participated and directed archaeological excavations and exploration programs across the country, ranging from prehistoric to modern cultural contexts. His specializations are broadly in two fields: zooarchaeology, which is identifications and analysis of faunal materials from archaeological deposits with the aid of comparative anatomy of animal bone, and ichthyoarchaeology, the study of fish bone remains from archaeological context in South Asia. So with this introduction, I request Professor Abhayan to please deliver the lecture. Thank you.
Yeah, very good evening to all. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to IIT Gandhinagar Archaeological Sciences Center for giving me this opportunity to give a talk like this. And in this today's talk, the whole thing will not be much like a talk. It will be more like a show, because I will be showing some pictures and some illustrations and some textual data pertaining to the southwestern state of peninsular India, region of Kerala, which is slightly different in terms of many things that I will be focusing on. Let us start with the cultural sequence. When you see the region, this part of India is slightly separated from the rest of the places because of the lofty terrain of Western Ghats, and obviously it has some prominent gaps as well. And regarding the Paleolithic evidence, very flimsy evidence are there. They have been dated to 70,000 BP, mostly by the works of Dr. P. Rajendran. A few sites have been noted. And when it comes to Mesolithic, the number of sites increase, the number of tool types increase. And when it comes to Neolithic, that is again a flimsy kind of period, because we do not have any Neolithic habitation sites. We only have some stray finds of polished tools, so-called Neolithic tools. And next comes Megalithic or Iron Age early historic period, which is roughly datable between 1000 BCE to 300 CE. And I will be talking about this particular period. And you can see the number of sites which have been revealed so far. That indicates the significance of this particular period, or the research that has gone into this particular aspect. And after 1000 BCE, when you see the cultural sequence, earlier times of Iron Age is generally termed as plain Iron Age, and that Iron Age is characterized by the presence of iron tools, of course, and some blackened redware pottery, and again different kinds of burial monuments. Some of them are actual burial monuments, some of them are something like symbolic nature for commemoration of the dead. And around 300 BCE, this Iron Age continues along with the early historic period. And for attestation of early historic period, Kerala region has some early historic sites, especially like Pattanam, Vizhinjam, and some deposits from Kottapuram. They all indicate some early historic settlements. And Iron Age continues through this period, and this is also not different from rest of the southern India. In other places like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and all, there also Iron Age remains coexist, or at least the time coexist along with the early history time. And when it comes to Iron Age or megalithic culture, that this terminology, issue of terminology comes in. There is a huge stone association, mostly because of that huge stone association, it has been widely recognized as megalithic culture. But one thing is quite clear, that not all of them are megalithic. I mean, some burials are even without stones, or some small stones as well. In the region of Kerala, there have been a lot of different terms in existence. Even in local or colloquial languages, there are many more terms for indicating these burial monuments. Babington, who has started off the formal studies in megalithic culture or Iron Age cultures of this region, he started calling it as Pandukuris, and later different scholars use different terms like prehistoric monuments, Pandukal complex, early Iron Age culture, proto-historic culture. Nowadays, people have a tendency to more aptly designate this culture as Iron Age early historic culture. When you see the history of Iron Age research in Kerala, it can be broadly put under pre-independence phase and a post-independence phase. And pre-independence phase was mostly antiquarian activities. It was started by Babington, and many scholars have contributed in different ways. And post-independence phase witnessed a slightly more problem-oriented research, and formal excavations with proper stratigraphic context and all. They started during this time. But still, some of the works which have been carried out prior to the independence phase or before 1947, they are actually credited with better academic qualities than the present day, many of the present day's work. And some of the works that happen after 1947 are still somewhat equal to antiquarianism, because many sites have been excavated or destroyed, but the reports or details of them are unavailable. Next is megalithic burial typology. It is another complex issue. People have debated on burial types of southern India differently, but still people have a tendency to call them in different names in different regions. In Kerala, we can see three kinds of materials for the construction of burials or burial architecture. One is terracotta, another one is granite or equivalent kind of hard crystalline rocks, and the third variety is laterite. That is very unique to the region of Kerala. Terracotta, as you all know, urn burials, which is very widely seen. Another one, variety of urn, we can say, that is sarcophagus. And rest of the granite slab-based burial structures are all these cyst, dolmen and dolmenoid cyst, that group, menhir, stone circle, etc. These things come under granite burial monuments. The third category is laterite. That is a unique set of burial monuments which you can see in Kerala. One is rocket chamber or rocket cave. Another one is umbrella stone, which look like umbrella. Another one is capstone. It is kind without having the orthostats. And the fourth category is hood stone. It is something like a circle, but having a hood-shaped laterite stones erected in this fashion. When you look at the region of Kerala, you can see this unique kind of burial architecture only in northern part of Kerala. That is, these unique burials are always made of laterite. You don't see them made out of granite. They are always made in laterite stone, and they are distributed along the northern part of Kerala, especially towards the north from Thrissur region onwards. And other common burials are also there. They exist throughout the region of Kerala, but some of them show different kind of inclusion, like some parts are made up of laterite. For example, some cysts or some dolmens are made of partially made out of laterite. And this kind of partial inclusion of laterite can be seen throughout the region of Kerala, while the unique kind of monuments can be seen only towards the northern side of the Kerala region. And there are some more differences in North Kerala and South Kerala basis. We can see the distribution of a kind of pottery, which I will be talking after some time. I will go through a brief introduction of burial monuments or different kinds of megalithic burials. The most common is urns. You can find it throughout the region of Kerala, but still with some changes from region to region. This one is an early excavated one from Pokalam in Thrissur. This is a single urn burial with a small laterite, small satellite burial on the fringes of this stone circle. Another example comes from the southern part of Kerala, that is Mangad. This one has a large number of urn burials within a single cane circle. Another one from Palakkad. This is a stone circle that is made out of laterite stones, and within that there are compartmentalization, and within that you can see 3 different urn burials. The urns are not alike. They are also found in very different styles. Some of them have some kind of a applique design on the shoulder portion, and some of them are very plain, and most of them are closed one. Some of them are closed with a terracotta lid, and some others are closed by using a laterite or granite stone slab. And this kind of interesting features can be seen in certain urns. This is from Pokalam. A hook-like attachment can be seen inside the urn, which could be used for hanging certain things or something like that. Another kind is sarcophagi, that is a terracotta coffin. Terracotta coffins can be found associated with other burial structures like rocket chamber. As you can see here, this is from Kozhikode region. This is from inside the rocket chamber, along with rest of the pottery and all. Another category is cyst, a box-like arrangement of stone slabs under the earth is generally termed as cyst, which is usually found closed by using another big slab. If the whole structure is above the ground completely, then it is called as dolmen. And in most of the cases, dolmens are found on top of the rocky surfaces, especially on the hilltops. And if it is in between, half buried and half above the ground, then they are called as dolmenoid cyst. Anyhow, these 3 kinds we can put together in a single group, even though their contextually they can be different. These are some pictures from Idiki region. There you can see 3 different kinds of cyst burial architecture. These two are dolmens, and this one seems to be something like dolmenoid cyst. And this one is a completely underground one, which is excavated or disturbed. And these completely buried cysts can be grouped into 3. And first among them is transepted cyst. And in transepted cyst, you can see a kind of partition in between. That partition divides the chamber, but that is only a small kind of partition in the bottom portion. That can be considered as a single burial, but not 2 different burials. Another one is antechambered or passage-chambered cyst. This kind of burials can be seen, cyst can be seen with a small room-like construction on one side, mostly on the side where porthole comes. This must be having some kind of ritualistic importance related to the death rituals that we do not know. And the third kind is double-chambered cyst. This is a separated one, and these 2 chambers can be used as 2 different burials, or we have 2 independent portholes can be seen for each of these chambers. This is different from this transepted kind of cyst. These are the 3 kinds of cyst we can see from the region of Kerala. Menhirs, they can be seen in laterite or granite or equivalent gneissic rock. They can be seen in very large size and as well as in very small dimensions. Sometimes some pottery remains also exist beneath them, but mostly they are considered as a symbolic representation of burial. Another category is stone circle. Stone circle can accommodate anything like an urn burial or cyst burial or even a rocket chamber. They can also be seen in granite or laterite. Umbrella stone. Umbrella stone is a unique type of monument which you can see towards the northern region of Kerala. It has typically an umbrella shape. Some people call it as mushroom shape because of its similarity to mushroom. It has 4 orthostats and a paraboloid capstone shaped in the form of a paraboloid shape. And they can be seen in different shapes, or there are a variation of their appearance morphologically. They are very much different. See this one, and all of them, they look entirely different. And the last one, from this last one, it is clear that it is a kind of modified form of a dolmen or a cyst kind of thing. Capstone is somewhat similar to umbrella stone, but without orthostats or legs. They are usually associated with burial goods beneath. Another category is hood stone. The number of stones can vary. Some of them are very elaborate, like this one, and some of them are very small. This is also a modified version of stone circle. Rocket cave. Rocket caves are generally cut or scooped into the lateritic terrains. Usually, they are provided with one porthole on top and a small opening like this here. And these 2 openings are generally closed by using some 2 stone pieces. This is a typical rocket chamber or plan and elevation of a rocket chamber. There are some different kinds of rocket chambers as well. Some are without porthole, but with a pillar in the middle. And some of them are even without a pillar and without a porthole. This could be a primitive form of rocket chamber. And there are rocket chambers with more than one chambers, or which can accommodate more than one burials. This one is a double chambered or two compartmental rocket chamber, and this one is having 3 chambers inside. This is the entryway, and the ones you see on the above is porthole. And around this, there is a ditch-like thing that is actually for accommodating the circle stones. That means this one was originally accommodated with a stone circle surrounding that. That is a surface indication. And this one is another one from Kasaragod that we excavated in 2015. This one also has this kind of a circular ditch around. And these kind of small stone pieces are originally put here as a stone circle. Inside these rocket chambers, you can see a bench or court-like feature like this. They are, in some of the cases, they have the legs also carved. And this is an example of center pillar inside. And this is another example of court or bench. And this is another interesting feature you can see in some of the rocket chambers. Some people have identified them as hearth, but they more look like pottery stands. Usually, rocket chambers are closed from porthole as well as from the entrance. This porthole is very narrow. A person can hardly get into that. And this is actually an entryway. Here you can enter inside and outside. Usually these 2 openings are closed. And in most cases, these are not exposed outside. That is why sometimes they are accidentally discovered. When for some other purposes, people clear the areas, they come across these kind of small plugged stone pieces. When they remove, the whole thing appears. And all these burial structures are, I explained them in different ways, but many of them are found in different combinations. However, the stone circle is the most occurring burial architecture in all of them. Rocket chamber can be associated with the stone circle, as well as umbrella stone like these. Cyst can be found associated, as well as urn burials. They all can be associated along with stone circle. Only an excavation can reveal whether the structure is originally purely a stone circle or is there something else below that. When we talk about the material culture, typically 4 kinds of pottery exist in Kerala. One is typical black and red ware pottery. Another one is blackware. Blackware is, the color is different, but mostly the shapes are almost similar to the black and red ware. Redware you can find in very different forms, large to small. Sometimes they can be seen in legged vessels as well. And the 4th category is russet coated and painted ware. This kind of pottery has been revealed so far from the northern part of Kerala only. This is the so-called Andhra ware, which is very popularly seen in Coimbatore region of the Tamil Nadu. But this kind of pottery has not yet been reported from the southern part of Kerala. Among pottery shapes, there are ring stands, which is used for holding pottery. Instead of keeping a pottery on the surface, it is kept on top of these ring stands. Many of the pottery inside a burial are associated with a lid. They are usually closed by using a lid. The lids can also be in different shapes. Different kinds of beads have been recovered from many of the burials. Mostly you find carnelian beads. Apart from carnelian, you can find some crystal or quartz also as bead raw material. And this kind of beads are locally called as jasmine bud shaped beads. These have been recovered from many neighboring parts of Kerala as well, especially from Kodumanal and from the sites of northwestern part of Tamil Nadu. When it comes to iron objects, there are some differences in iron objects from burial to burial. In different burials, the combination of iron objects vary a lot. If you look at these three burial sites, the iron objects are very much different in its types. For example, from Niramukulam, you can find mostly agricultural implements. From Kadanada, you can see mostly kind of weapons like swords and knives. And when it comes to Umichipoil, another site in northern Kerala, that has mostly chisels. These are small chisel which is usable on wood rather than stone. And this could be an indication of the occupation of the person buried along with that we are not sure about, but that is a possibility. Apart from these general weapons and implements, you can see some kind of tripods like these, which is made out of iron. And other utilitarian objects like hanger can be seen. This is an example of that. This is a rocket chamber in Kozhikode. Inside this rocket chamber, we can see a piece of hanger fixed on top of the roof. These are the common objects, and there are some rarely seen objects as well. They are copper. Copper is not very much popular or very much common. Gold as well. You can find some ornaments like this, some fragments of ornaments like this. And apart from that, some querns, pestles, grinding stones have been recovered. An unused crucible of a small size has been recovered from an urn burial. There are some evidence of terracotta figurines like animal figurines, human figurines, etc. Interestingly, some Neolithic polished cells have also been recovered from some burials, more than one burials. That means it has some significance. As an evidence of agriculture, we have some remains of rice from the pottery as a grave good. There are some agricultural implements I showed before. Iron plowshare was also found from one of the burials. this plowshare is an attachment with the plow for the plowing for the tilling of land. These are all some possibilities of the existence of agriculture. When it comes to Kerala, there are some issues with the Iron Age in Kerala. One is absence of primary burials. Unlike other parts as well, there are relatively less number of primary burials. But in Kerala, so far, a single primary burial hasn't been recovered. Probably they were there, but could have disintegrated as well. What we have is secondary burials as well as symbolic burial. From some sites like Anakara has yielded some very good, relatively well-preserved specimens of human skeletal remains, which have been studied by Dr. Veena Mushraf. Some of them have been cremated. The warping and cracked appearance indicate cremation. Another issue is lack of habitation evidence. Unlike other parts of southern India, in the region of Kerala, we don't have proper habitation sites exist. We only have burials. There could be some possible causes for that. Could be the nature of settlements that could be very much dispersed in nature. If they shifted their settlements very frequently, there is a less chance of having typical habitation deposits. If they use some perishable construction materials, it is very difficult to get them preserved. And the physiography and the environment in general also restrict the actual formation of archaeological mounds in this region. Even for an early historic sites also, you don't get a very typical archaeological mound which is seen in other plain land areas. And obviously, there are some issues with the archaeological survey techniques or methods. There should be something like a focused archaeological survey for locating any flimsy evidence of habitation. But recently, two proposed habitation evidence comes from one from Pattanam. The earliest levels of Pattanam is ascribed to Iron Age. Another one is Achivayal in Marayur region. This region is very close to the burial locality. That region has been identified as a burial locality or habitation locality. In Kerala, when you talk about chronology, the chronological brackets have been broadening rather than narrowing down. And earlier studies said that this burial tradition had only a very short life. Like, for example, B.K. Thapar proposed it as between 330 BCE and 100 CE. And in that way, many others have proposed a very narrow time bracket in earlier times, when a lot of different dating techniques came up, like C14 dating, and now the chronology has been broadened. So for Kerala region has a very limited radiocarbon dates till recently. And these are the radiocarbon dates available in Kerala so far for megalithic burials. And most of them have been contributed by the research from University of Kerala recently. And all these green colored one are actually, they can be considered as a reliable one, and rest of the red colored dates are all possible late dates because of some later disturbances and all. When we screen out the later dates, we have these kind of reliable dates, and based on these dates, we can ascribe a chronology between 900 BC and circa 300 CE. And interestingly, from Niramukulam, we have 2 dates from a same burial, which is proposed to be proposed as a continuous use of the same burial for consecutive periods. In addition to the radiocarbon dates, artifacts based on the artifacts like pottery and other stuff, we can make out some chronological frameworks. Such attempts have been done, especially by Akinori Yusugi. Apart from the burials, recently the Kerala region has witnessed some excavations, which has got a lot of attention, especially Pattanam excavation. Another one is Vizhinjam excavation in Trivandrum. These 2 sites have revealed material evidence from at least from the 1st century CE. And in the case of Pattanam, it goes even slightly beyond that. When we look at the Pattanam excavation and its surrounding region, Pattanam is located on in the end of Periyar River. And along the region, you can see a large number of megalithic burials like these. These are the burial localities. And even burial localities can be seen towards the western region as well. That is especially towards the still forested regions of Western Ghats. These are the regions which have been inhabited very recently only, but still you find a lot of megalithic burials in these regions. There could be some connections with these early historic settlement at Pattanam, or even prior to that. These people were moving around, and these people from the Western Ghats were probably giving something to the site of Pattanam for probably for global trade and all, especially like spices and many other valuable forest goods were probably coming from these megalithic people. Rock art evidence from Kerala. Many of the rock art in Kerala were earlier ascribed to Neolithic or Mesolithic times. But nowadays, scholars have a tendency to ascribe them to Iron Age period, all because of its context and all, and some themes also are found to be something like later than Mesolithic and all. In Kerala, we have famous Edakal engravings. Marayur region has a lot of rock paintings. And in northern Kerala, these kind of engravings can be seen on top of the lateritic terrains. These are all surrounded by a lot of Iron Age burial sites. In addition to that, evidence of iron production can be seen. A lot of scattered iron slags can be seen in many places, but many of them are not contextually placed somehow. But still, there is a chance that this could be exploited during the Iron Age. In addition to that, there are some literary references to the high quality steel that is coming from the Chera region and all. That also indicates the importance of iron working in the region. All the iron tools that we find from the burials also indicate there was some kind of local production of iron tools. But still, we need a lot of investigations needed in this direction. The Iron Age research in Kerala, if we look at the Iron Age research after 2010, the last almost 10 years has revealed a lot of new things. And some of the excavations have been done by University of Kerala as part of Kerala Megalithic Institute project, as well as faculty members and researchers. 4 excavations have been conducted during this time. And other agencies have also conducted some excavations. Many of them are actually salvage excavations, but still they have also revealed a lot of valuable information on Iron Age in Kerala. In addition to these excavations, a lot of explorations have happened in these last 10 years or so. Even though earlier reported sites were there, most of the sites were untraceable because of the destructions, and in earlier research people didn't mention geocoordinates for many of the sites, and nowadays it is very difficult to revisit or retrace them. So there was a need for fresh explorations or fresh surveys in this region. And as part of many students' MA, MPhil, PhD research work, they conducted very extensive survey throughout Kerala, and that survey has yielded a lot of new information or new burial reportings from the region. And you can see some areas are still very blank, and those areas are not actually supposed to be blank. They are very much potential in terms of finding burial. That means these are all some kind of gaps in this survey. There also need some sort of further surveys in these gap pockets. Among one of the excavations I mentioned before, I will be explaining a little bit more about the recent excavation that was conducted in 2019 by University of Kerala as part of the Kerala Megalithic Situ project. It is a Cyst burial site, and this site is located towards the southern part of Kerala in Pathanamthitta district. And this is also located in something like a forested area. Here it is a rubber plantation. You can see this is a burial, and this is a sole burial you can see on top of this hill like this. It is located on this hill slope. In all, throughout this hill, you don't find any other burial. And this burial was excavated. This is a trenching pattern. We excavated the trench in 5 into 5 meter, and we extended the trench as per the requirement of the or as per the objectives of the excavation. We used 3D modeling of the whole series of excavation. We didn't do any kind of manual drawing there. We did this 3D models by using Agisoft Metashape Professional, and we did the drawings afterwards. And this helps a lot. Even in excavations, a lot of time is actually consumed for drawing purposes and all. But by applying this, we can have different views of a monument later, as well as we can have different drawings as well. This excavation revealed a double chambered cyst with chamber 1 on the east side and chamber 2 on the west side. We found 2 portholes. One is trapezoidal in shape, another one is circular in plan. In these 2 chambers, we could see 2 small court-like feature like this. And interestingly, this court-like feature can be seen, very widely seen in northern region, where you have laterite rocket chambers. And this kind of court is very rarely found in Cyst general. In southern Kerala, this is the first instance having court with this kind of leg-like features and all. In northern Kerala, a few sites have this kind of court-like feature. when we look at the quarrying technique or stone cutting technique, mostly these slabs have not been dressed much. These are all just quarried stones, but without having proper dressing. But on this side, this slab has been dressed to accommodate or to properly join with the other slab on this side. And you can see three large blow marks which have been used for shaping this stone or straightening this stone. Meanwhile, you can see these kind of worked potholes that indicates their efficiency in making, making that kind of stone working. But they didn't pay much attention to make their cyst beautiful looking. They left it as such. Except for some utilitarian purpose, they intentionally did some stone cutting. And for the stone cutting purpose, something like iron tools, which is suitable for stone cutting, we haven't come across any of the megalithic sites so far. These are all the general kind of iron tools you get, but they are all mostly suitable for some other purposes. Especially these chisels are suitable for working on wood rather than on stone. But these kind of big hammers have not been recovered so far, and they must have used some kind of hammer or iron hammer or something like a stone hammer for dressing these kind of stones. If we examine the construction sequence of this cyst, we can see that the first placed one was these partition slabs, these two partition slabs. And then they must have placed this floor slab, and on top of that, they must have arranged the court-like feature. It would be difficult to install that kind of a court afterwards. Then they must have placed this stone on the northern part, which is slightly resting on top of this vertical slab. And these two must have been placed afterwards, and then they must have placed the stone slabs having portholes. This kind of a construction sequence can be understood from this excavation. And while they erected the slabs, they placed some kind of small chip stones and some boulder-like pieces for properly arranging these stone slabs. Actually, these are not just stone slabs. These stone slabs are also supported by using these kind of small pieces of stones. They probably brought to the site along with the stone slabs. And there are some later disturbances. Some people consider them as original stone quarrying marks of Iron Age people, but these kind of wedge-shaped marks are not originally belonging to the Iron Age period. And these kind of marks can be seen in many of the later construction activities like load relieving stones or chumadudangis. And these kind of marks can be seen in many megalithic monuments as well, but all of them are in disturbed conditions like these. And that indicates that these kind of wedge-shaped marks are used for reusing the stone for some other purposes. This happened quite late. That has been very evident from this Enadimangalam excavation, because this stone was already, this portion was already exposed, or it was on top of the earth, and somebody must have broken this particular part from this burial, while rest of the stones are all buried inside and they have not been disturbed. That is why we don't see any other wedge-like marks in any other places in this Cyst burial. when we look at the stratigraphy, on the slope of this hill, they have created a pit like this. Their original pit can be clearly visible from this section. They made a pit like this, and towards the southern part, you don't find a proper line of the pit. Probably it was they were dragging the soil from one end to the other one, and that is how they made the pit, and they inserted the stone slabs for the construction. Inside the burial, we got 12 in situ pottery. These many from Cyst 1 and these many from Cyst 2. They are actually in situ like this. That indicates that they were probably two different burials. And another interesting feature is the multiple use of the same burial structure. Apart from these 12 in situ pottery, we got a lot of potsherds from outside and inside the burial throughout the deposit. They were not in a primary context. That means once the burial was reopened and the buried potsherds or earlier kept potsherds pottery were thrown out, and when they refilled the Cyst burial, they used those potsherds along with the soil to fill this Cyst burial. For this purpose, they must have reopened this burial and buried another person or another person's belongings. This could be a more than one-time activity. That is why we can propose such a reuse of this kind of Cyst burial. And this kind of reuse has been noticed in many other contexts as well. In urn burial contexts, some Mangad excavations have indicated some kind of reuse of the same burial context. In Machad and Parayanur excavation also, excavators have noted the presence of potsherds in the fillings and in the surroundings. And alternatively, these could be related to some kind of burial rituals, or sometimes it could be some kind of later human vandalism as well. But there is a more probability for the reuse of these burials. Another interesting feature is the further survey of that region of Enadimangalam. When we surveyed the region of Enadimangalam, in the nearby hillocks, we could see more number of cysts. Most of these cysts are solitary cysts. That means in a hillock, only one burial existed. This also indicates some kind of scattered habitation of the Iron Age people. And also this could be an indication of the reuse of the burials again. Probably one burial structure was used by a small group of settlement or small group of people. They reused this burial for several generations. And this research from Enadimangalam has been published. I request people to go into this publication for a detailed reading, of course. And I will stop with this last slide. This is a recent report came out in 2020 in The Hindu. A megalithic site was discovered from Idiki region, and a lot of things were revealed. That was an accidental discovery. People were digging a pit for a construction of a tank, and they found these kind of burial goods from that. Definitely they are megalithic burial. And I showed this because in Kerala, a lot of burials are being destroyed day by day. Or in this context, it is very, very important that some formal excavations are actually needed, and how a formal excavation can impart a much more valuable information in terms of understanding the Iron Age people of this region. And I acknowledge all the institutions and persons for making this happen. This is not my own work. This is a joint work. I express my acknowledgements to the University of Kerala and the faculty members for acting as co-directors in the project, KMGP, Akinori Yusugi, Archaeological Survey of India for granting permission, State Archaeology Department for many help, GSI people, media representatives, and all the excavation team members for making this work going. Thank you.